He was a zombie. Too romantic, guy. Too romantic.
Yeah. You made other people feel uncomfortable.
Like, that's illegal. Half illegal? Are they still a corpse?
They're not dead, but they are.
It's unillegal then.
It's Hey,
Oh,
how's it going?
you're here.
Yeah.
I've been here for like, I don't know, like 2 days, 3 days, maybe more. It's hard to tell time in this room. There's no windows, no clocks,
You've just been in here for like 2 days?
at least.
Did you read the note?
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay, well, I just got here, so can I?
please.
Okay. Welcome to Caffeine and Cantrips. This is the show where we talk about D&D or else. Maybe or else that. I'm Byron, number 33. Sounds about right. And
I'm Sean. It doesn't matter what the number is.
oh wow. Well, this week, these two surly earth-vexing bugbears will be talking about the importance of grounding your PC in the world.
And then I can get out of here.
Yeah, he smells. Can I get a new Sean?
Hey guys, welcome. I'm Sean number 34. Glad to be here. I guess today we're talking about, what was it?
Grounding your PCs in the world.
Right,
And the
right.
importance of
Yes.
doing that. Yes.
Yes. Kind of a more advanced character creation, right?
It really, yes, this is definitely going beyond the character sheet and all of the stuff that's kind of preordained and not preordained, but pre-described,
Right.
and just filling out the boxes. This is kind of the next level. It's really, I think, what they were attempting to do in this edition and in past editions, where we started talking about bonds, flaws, ideals. Right. That's kind of step one into this.
I've always felt that those weren't quite enough.
No, and they're
Right.
not, because that's just that's the crumbs of the cookie.
Yeah.
Right. That's not the chocolate chips.
Yeah.
Right. But I definitely think that is the first step in grounding your PC, because really on the character sheet, that's the first part where it starts talking about and codifying personality.
Right. And grounding your PC in the world, I feel like it's more than just setting a personality. Right. It's I don't know, I would call it giving your character a context within the campaign world. Right. And I'm glad that you guys made us talk about this, because it sort of segues real well off of that other episode where we talked about session zeros.
Yes.
Right.
No, this is a great continuation. Maybe they'll even give you a link to session 0, like up here. Maybe.
Oh wow, brownie points.
Yeah.
To the powers that be.
And then, yeah, if you could do that. I don't know what kind of powers you have, powers that be, but if you have that power, yeah, link it so that people can get the full conversation. But it definitely is kind of the first point, going beyond, like I said, going beyond the sheet. Because what you're doing on the sheet is you're interacting your class with your background, right? And then part of what the background is, and those are all suggestions, of course, right? These are all suggestions, kind of the carbon copy versions of what you can do to make your character a little bit more interesting and a little bit more unique, so you're not the same as every other one of your class.
Right.
But when we go a little bit beyond that, that's really, I think, where the character becomes interesting.
Oh,
yes.
Okay.
But of course, what's really interesting to me is to see how many likes we can maybe get on this video. So please do
subscriptions as well.
Yes, click the bell, click the big red, black, blue, or green button, whatever color it is on your screen that says subscribe, and throw us a like. Let us know if you
We
agree.
don't see color here.
We don't see color here. Our world is in black and white, and it is scary. So hopefully they add the Technicolor version of this out there, wherever it is that they are, or you are. But no, getting into it, I think, like I said, you pick your blondes, brunettes, redheads, and no, you
Destroyed.
so you pick your bonds, your ideals, and your flaws.
Right.
And then from there, that's really what's giving you your first steps and your foray into connecting, I think, at least for me, into connecting what a PC's personality, mentality, likes, wants, feel, all of this kind of stuff, all the things that make us, and all the layers that you can create from that. That's the first step into doing it, and the first link in the chain of turning the mechanics of the game into that soft creative space of the game.
Okay.
And definitely, like we said, session 0, it's a great place to start to establish what the boundaries, like the hard boundaries or the soft boundaries are of that sandbox. I'm going to use sandbox not as like the sandbox term of TTRPGs, but of the place that you're playing in. Right. Is this a hard boundary? Is this a soft boundary? Or is this something to discover what that is? Right. Can we play in between the lines there and see what is acceptable, what's not? And let's link that to the idea of the story. What is the story theme? What are we trying to explore? Right. And I know we've talked about before the idea that there's a place and a time for PCs, right? So there's, you don't necessarily want your barbarians in your high diplomatic thing.
I was like, what do you mean PC? It's always time for the PC.
It's always PC time, baby.
PC time all the time.
But no, that's I think one of the first coupling measures of turning the mechanics of the game into the RP elements of the game and how to connect them from the page upwards.
Yes, like the PCs exist in a certain place and time in the campaign world. That's what right?
Well, yes, that's the literal sense of it. But also the idea of, does this PC that I am creating, does this provide an opportunity to get an answer to the question of what we're trying to explore as a group or as a theme?
Okay.
Right? And maybe, what is, for instance, if we're doing this high society diplomatic thing and somebody brings in a traditional idea of a barbarian, right? An outlander who's come in, who lives outside of normal civilization, has different viewpoints of normal civilization, and has come into civilization to question what is civilization? What is civilization? What is civilized? Right. And we've seen that sometimes at the table, like with Goblin coming in our campaigns and having him really question what is or what's better about being civilized. Right. Versus a life of survival, a life of relative simplicity, right, but obviously maximal difficulty, right? It was fight or flight, live or die, right? You subsist off of the strength of your own back and the cut of your own sword.
The question was, is civilization better than savagery, and if so, why?
Yes.
Right.
Yes. And it really turned kind of a great a mirror on people and on themselves when they would just say, well, this is right. And you stop and you say, well, hold on. You've jumped a few hoops here in one breath, and we don't really necessarily agree on that. I don't agree on what you're implying. So let's break that down into step and having the other PCs turn around and look at themselves and look at those steps individually as opposed to one thing taken into acceptance because everybody else accepts what's going on because that's the norm for here. Right. That was really great. So when we're doing this, when we're going into creating our PCs and when we're going in, it's really nice to have those informational points given to us as far as your session 0 lore, what the question is, what you're going to be facing, what you're going to be having to deal with as themes, right, will allow you to create a PC. And I know I've seen this actually now where there's other players and fantastic DMs out there that their first question when they go into playing a game is to the DM, how can I create a PC or what can I do as a PC to help further your story?
That sounds like an interview question.
It really does. Yeah. No. Do you want to play? Well, let's sit down.
Yeah. How do you see me being successful 5 years from now?
Exactly.
What does success look like in your company?
Yeah. At your table. Yeah.
Yeah.
No. That's a brilliant allegory. Yes. No. It makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense.
But it gives you, by answering that question, a trajectory.
Yes. Yes.
Right. To go like a direction to go to.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And now that you have that bearing, then you can start working on making your character a part of the world, right? Having that kind of seamless immersion of not having, I mean, obviously you're going to stand out. You're a PC in an NPC world.
And well, it depends on the campaign, I would say.
Fair.
But generally, you're right.
But
you're right.
Yeah. No, and one of the things that in previous iterations of the game that has kind of gotten quieter but is kept through is that you are exceptional because you're an adventurer, or you became an adventurer because you're exceptional, right? You have a story to tell. You're not just one of those innkeepers, one of those market dwellers, one of those knights, right, that lives an average life and just kind of does status quo.
Right. Or even the level 0 king.
Correct. The level
Queen
0 king, yes,
emperor,
over the level 20 generals, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, it definitely informs you in how you fit in the world. And essentially where you're coming from. Now, included in that is a very interesting thing that is going to really matter from table to table, but that's the level that you're starting at as well.
Oh, you mean like level 1 or like level 5?
Yeah, how much
do
history?
I have my subclass yet?
Correct. How much history your character has, because we've all experienced, or probably we've all experienced, the idea of the fighter who's starting the game at level 1, but he survived multiple campaigns, multiple wars. Right. He was promoted, demoted. He absconded with the prince
and lost.
And he's got all this story, but now he's a level 1 fighter. Right? He's just like, whoa, what happened? Right? How do we explain this pool of experience that you've developed over your time?
Right.
But mechanically, you're still level 1.
Rambo was level 1. Level 1 soldier.
Maybe. And he just had a weighted D20. He's just like, oh, it's another crit. It's another crit.
All the other soldiers on the bad guy side and on the good guy team, they're just level 0 soldiers.
And he gave him just this much of an edge and some creative die rolling, maybe. I don't know. Maybe some plot armor.
Well, he had a class. The other guys were just stat blocks.
Well, that helps. That definitely helps. But no, that's the kind of idea that we're talking about, right? And how to make sure that while exceptional and unique, you still are painted in the same colors, right? You still don't stand out that much. If someone was to take a snapshot of the world, your character exists within it believably. Right. And I think that's when we're talking about the importance of grounding, right? Grounding is getting in there and setting a strong base so that you can grow from there. But everybody kind of starts in the same area.
What exactly do you mean when you say setting a base? Do you mean like I hear that and I take that to mean that you're setting like where they're from, where they grew up, right? Who they knew, important people to them. That sort of thing?
Well, let's just say, for instance, if you're dealing with a Wizards of the Coast traditional drow society, right? And you want to play as a fun-loving, freedom-enjoying, sun-basking drow. That doesn't fit the world. Right. And I'm not saying that's right or wrong. I'm just saying that the two aren't congruent, right? The one doesn't play nice with the other. So if you want that story to be there, right, then part of your backstory needs to be that you felt the friction where you came from and you didn't belong in that society. And so you pulled away from that society, and that's why you're an adventurer. Because essentially, you will make, essentially you're an outcast from that society. You're not an exile from that society, but you're definitely an outcast, right? Or an outsider. And so now you've left that, and that can be part of your backstory. Great. That makes more sense. But for how you were groomed into that position, or how you became that position, how you became a freedom-loving drow in this in
right,
this
who's
instance.
happy and just wants to help people, is outwardly generous. and
That then
altruistic.
becomes a question,
Mhm.
right? Like I could see it going the other way. I could see it going through hatred and betrayal and developing and brooding, right? Through decisions that were made in that society, the matriarch or whoever it was, your superior, kind of rubbed you the wrong way. And so now you've gone the other, you haven't gone happy-go-lucky. You've gone, I'm going to go against the grain and I'm going to defeat and destroy the system as it is. And in order to do that, I'm going to become a righteous believer in the opposite of what society is.
It sounds like you're not just setting like who they know and where they grew up and what they did. It sounds like you're doing a level deeper than that, and you're setting the meaning behind growing up there, or the meaning behind what happened to them.
Well, and
why that they choose to be this way.
And that's the most important part, is the why. Right? Because you can have all of the other things happen to you, the who, the what, the where, the when. All of those are very easy to just say.
Yeah,
right?
like, he was
He's from this
ostracized.
town,
He was
this river,
ostracized by the drow, but why did he become happy-go-lucky?
Yes. And that then starts to inform the personality and the perspective of the character, which then makes your role playing later easier, because you've already kind of predefined what that kind of normal answer of all the decisions you could make. You're narrowing it down into a truer, more consistent, genuine character voice.
Yeah, it's true. Like, why did they choose happy instead of hatred?
Yes.
Love instead of hatred.
Yes.
Because that'll you're right. It informs so much in your RP afterwards, and it really, if you do that well when you're setting your character, I think it really does raise your the bar for your RP, like by a significant level. Like, it's just a step up. And everything is better once you do that. Just because you have a sort of a deeper understanding as to why your PC is the way they are, and because you know why they've made those decisions, it's like a template for all their future decisions as well. So when something unexpected happens, you're like, you're very rarely stuck with the question of, oh geez, what should I do? You almost all know right away, oh, they would totally do this, right? Because this is what they believe or whatever, right? They would do this, and then you can be confident in leaning into that, even if it's might not be, say, good for the party or optimized, or even if it's inconvenient for your party, you'll do it, and then the reason is because you'll say, because that's what my character would do. But it's true. I mean, and it's not just an excuse, right? It is, and you know that's what they would do because of this, right? And I think what makes people angry sometimes when people are like, that's just what my character would do, and when they're
other than the Hulk,
when
he's always angry.
When the players are just being a jerk and just wants to get away with it and using it as an excuse.
Right.
When you know what they would do, and they always are consistently making those kinds of decisions, the other players, even if they don't understand why, they'll feel that internal character consistency, and they won't feel like it's annoying. You're like, oh, this is who this character is. It makes sense. I don't know why, but it somehow feels more genuine.
And it's super interesting that the same application of it's just what my character would do could be used, could honestly be used by a very basic character comprehension and an extremely advanced character comprehension. I think they could say it's what my character would do. And even
I think it's less. It's just what my character would do. It's more like, no, my character would do nothing else but this. Right? There's nothing else they would do. This is the only thing they would do in the situation. And that confidence, that And
I like the idea then that if that confuses another player, so if you did that, right? Let's say that's what your character, that was your reaction to the scenario, and I, as another representative of a character, but also a player of the game, question, well, that was kind of funky.
Right.
Why'd you do that? Right? Write a little note in your notebook, and like after the session, engage the person in that constructive, fun way. Like, hey, there was a really dynamic moment tonight in tonight's session. Or if you're texting after, in yesterday's session, there was this really cool moment where your character did this, and I, as a player, so this is going to be meta knowledge that I'm not going to apply in the game. But I, as a player, am really curious about why you did that.
I really want to know.
I really want to know. And if you approach it from that perspective, I think you would want to, within reason, you would want to share like, well, really, there's some stuff in my story that I'm going to save for later that I don't want to talk about now, that we're going to experience hopefully when we get a chance to. But for right now, I can tell you that yes, this is what he's doing. Yes, this is blah, 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 blah. But maybe as a player to player hint, look a little deeper. Try and put the dots together and see what the whole picture is starting to look like.
Then the other player is like, oh man, that's fun.
It's fun now, than, well, or the answer could just be like, oh, I was really jealous that you got the extra magical weapon last session, so I just wanted the extra gem this session, so I took it.
Right. And I just said, that's what my character would do. He's a thief.
That's what my character would do. And then you go, oh, that's really interesting that your character was experiencing jealousy or envy in the moment, and this is how they expressed it.
Right.
And then the other player could be like, oh, wow, this person thinks my character's like super deep. But then you can feel
the difference.
Absolutely you can. Absolutely you can. But I'm just saying, in the positive mindset of, everyone around you is a scholar and a diplomat, right? Like, if you go and you look at it and you're like, oh yeah, no, this is the best answer that they could give. And maybe the best answer that they could give because they're a level 2 role player and you're a level 10 role player, whatever you want to call it. Right? If they're a beginner, maybe they don't know that, a pie has 2 crusts and a whole bunch of middle stuff, right? There's a sandwich in there that you got to get through.
And if they are new at roleplay, you can help them in character just by going up to them, asking them, hey, so what's up with that?
Yeah, I felt you were hurt. All right, I got the impression that you have a chip on your shoulder or a cloud over you since we divvied up that loot and I got the blade. The blade doesn't mean a lot to me. Would you like it? Right? Like, create that character moment.
Right.
DM, I would like to ask for a scene, right? So that we can discuss this because my character has noticed something.
Yeah.
Right? And then that's a great way of putting your meta knowledge into a productive roleplay session.
Yep.
Right? And use your meta knowledge for good, not for evil.
No, it's true.
Yes.
It's true. Meta gaming can be very productive, can be very awesome. You can add a lot. Right?
It's actually one of my favorite books that was really overlooked. It was back in 2nd edition AD&D, first, 2nd edition, however you want to call it. But in AD&D, there was a complete guide to villains.
Oh, okay.
And in it broke down, separating what a bad guy or an enemy from a villain is. And I know that there's been some other iterations and there's plenty of beautiful literature out there about this now. But going and looking at how to create a villain can really turn that around and ask those same questions, but put the heroic spin on it, right? What is it? Why are you, or how to make an adventurer.
Right.
Right? And not only just how to make them, right? Because we've already talked about the character sheet has all of the stats and the roles and the stuff. Yeah. So it's not about
what they are.
Yeah, but it's about going through the depth of what it is, right? Yeah. And so going back to our character who felt put out because they didn't get the magical item, maybe in their story, and it correlates forward because they're using this to inform their decisions, maybe it was a family with 6 kids, right? And they were number 5, number 6 in the pile, so they weren't big enough to fight to get, the stuff. Mom and dad tried to be good to them, or maybe they just didn't care anymore because they had so many kids and so many worries in the world, right? Whatever it is. Yeah. But that kid had to fight for everything that they got. And when somebody else got it, they always wanted that. They always wanted to get the best cut. They always wanted to get the biggest biscuit. They always wanted to get the extra helping of gravy, but they never could. And now in their adulthood or whatever age they are, whatever class they are, that feeling is being expressed in a certain way.
Mhm.
And that feeling could be expressed in a positive way, in a negative way, in a neutral way, but you're using the character's past to inform the why,
Yeah.
to then inform your creative voice.
It's funny. It's almost like what an actor would do when they're first getting into a role, right? You're like, oh, who are they?
Mm-hmm.
And then it's the cliche question: what's my motivation?
Mm-hmm.
Right? What is your character's motivation? The best characters always have something they want to do with their life.
Mm-hmm.
Like people with no ambition and no desires don't typically become adventurers,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yes.
And if you
No, I agree.
are an adventurer, as you are a PC, and you don't have one, your PC doesn't have any of that, if they feel empty. They feel one-dimensional, two-dimensional
Yes.
at best,
Yes.
right? But if you could fully understand what your character's motivations are, why they're becoming an adventurer, because people, correct me if I'm wrong, people don't become adventurers willingly because it's not a nice life.
Well, that's therein it is a great question, because I can answer that in a very large rainbow of ways,
Mhm.
right? Because I could say, you know what? Yeah, there's not enough, or there's enough bakers, and there's enough carpenters, and there's enough blacksmiths, and all of the other kind of roles and professions.
Mhm.
There was no space. There was nobody who was willing to take on the trainee. There was
Right.
nobody who had the extra spot at the church for somebody just to even sweep it out. There's no stable boys needed. And so your character went, well, there's nothing to do here. I guess I got to go on the road. And so they just kind of became a wanderer first, maybe,
Mhm.
and then they became an adventurer. Or conversely, your world is dark and terrible, and
Right.
and your home village got burned down by marauding humanoids.
Of course
right?
they did.
And so you picked up the sword in vengeance,
Right,
right?
right.
Both are totally applicable answers.
Mhm. But neither person is willingly becoming an adventurer, though. You know what I mean? Like it's adventuring is not
Interesting.
pleasant, right? Like no one. I don't think anyone realistically grows up and goes like, yes, I want to, right, become like an assassin, because assassins exist in the real world, but no one grows up thinking that's what I want to become. And like that's, I mean, maybe some people do, certain people, but you know what I mean? Like everyone
yeah.
starts off as an NPC and then there's something that happens that makes them become an adventurer, that makes them become a hero or villain or whatever. Like no one's,
Interesting. No, I get.
you know what I mean? Like no one's born.
I know
an
what you're
adventurer.
saying. I have to push back on the no one though.
Wow.
Well,
Okay,
and yeah, I know, and I'm not
Yeah.
treating it as like an absolute,
Yeah.
but you can have the backstory of the son who listened to the father's noble stories, and
Mhm.
so they always wanted to become that knight in
Right.
shining armor
Right.
on the hill,
Right.
right? So they've always wanted to become maybe not an adventurer, but a person who seeks glory.
Okay.
Right. And becoming an adventurer is the path to that.
Right.
But they've essentially then chosen the life not of quiet,
Right.
whatever it is, quiet suffering, quiet bliss, quiet satisfaction.
Quite mediocrity.
Yeah. Right. They're daring to be something more. And in doing that, they're also inviting danger to make them something less.
Right.
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 Because for every hero, there's a bandit plastered on the side of the road. Right.
And there's also, yeah.
Yeah.
For every hero, there's multiple dead bandits.
There-
And multiple dead heroes.
And multiple dead
Well,
heroes.
not even heroes, multiple dead ABCs.
Yes.
They just never become
Yes.
heroes.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. So no, I think it's an interesting question.
But even then, though, right?
Whether
Yeah.
adventure, and see, this is like a crux, an apex question, I
Mhm.
think, because every PC that is at your table
Mhm.
needs to have a reason that they want to be adventuring.
Then, and really, I think that's my point,
Yes.
right? Like, there's no one just chooses to be an adventurer for just because
Saitama did it.
he
He's just doing it for fun.
he shouldn't have done so many push-ups.
Yeah, there's a lot of. Well, I would have turned on the AC. It gets hot in the summer.
He just wants to get to the grocery store while it's still on
But
sale.
it's still on sale. But that informed, that's a weird one. We won't talk about informing character decisions there. But there's a lot of unique decisions that are made in that story as well.
Yeah.
Right. But the idea of how and why you want to become an adventurer is very interesting. And in sitting here and talking and thinking about it, it's more important than it seems.
It's like, I think just coming out with ideas with you now, now that I think about it a little more, it's super important, actually. It's actually not even a question that I formally ask myself when I make characters, but now I will from now on.
No, yeah, exactly.
Because it's super important. Like, why are they adventuring? Because I still remember playing Second Ed, going to A Night Below, just rolling up character after character after character. After a while, we're like, I don't even know why my character's here in the Underdark.
Yeah.
None of the players or the characters in the party were the original characters who got the quest.
Who initially accepted the quest. Yeah.
They're all just the monkey experiment. They don't want to touch the bananas. And they don't know why.
Yeah, and we'll try and find a link for that. Maybe if they can give you that up there and describe to you what the monkey experiment is. But one of the things that I like to do, and I found
you're a monkey experiment.
I do like a good banana. One of the things that I like to do that really took my character understanding and kind of leveled up my role play ability. And I know you picked up on this and you loved it.
Did I?
You did. Drum roll. Yeah.
I loved it. Okay.
Was doing my own diaries or my own stories from the character's perspective. So they were doing their own kind of, at the end of the day, write up what happened this day, what happened this week or whatnot, and journaling out from their perspective. And I know you picked up on it when I started doing it and you liked it, right? And whether you make that a public expression for other people to view, right? And therefore understand, read, critique perhaps, or you just share it with yourself. It allows you to sit and kind of percolate in the character voice, in the character mindset when there's no other distractions around. The table has gone home. The snacks are half full now. You don't have to keep refreshing them or whatever it is, right? And in a moment of like kind of quiet contemplation and reflection, just write out a couple things in their voice. Because formulating the thoughts
in there
of writing, but in their perspective, lets you just kind of enjoy being the character for a little bit. Right. And then further reinforcing either stereotypes and kind of core identities that you want to keep and lock in, or you can start documenting character arcs of change. Yeah. Right. And you go, oh, I don't normally like blank. Yeah. But the other character who is a blank in the party has maybe not absolutely hate them. the clown. Right. And so, but then you can go and actually watch the progression of your character, or at least set up in your mind or between your minds. Because I don't know about you, but when I'm playing a character, a lot of times I have adopted them at the table. Right. Physical mannerisms, right? Yes. Voices, whatnot, for those 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 hours, whatever it is that you're playing, I try and become them as much as possible. And so I don't have to think, what would Byron thinks the character thinks he should do, right? But
people remove those layers.
Try to. And then all you really have to do in the moment is lean in and just stay in your character space, in the headspace. And if you're just being present, then you don't have to think about thinking about thinking. You can just do. Yeah,
you don't think about the whole layer of should I or should I not kind of goes away. You just go. Right? And that's when I find later on after the session, you have to ask, was that okay? Because I didn't have that layer of was that okay or not?
Right? Yeah, I chose to remove a layer of censorship. Yeah. and now internal censorship.
Yeah.
And now I need to double check with you guys.
Yeah.
Is that all right?
Yeah.
And most of the time, I think if you're playing in a genuine state, people will say, yes, that was fine. And if it's not fine, they will be brave and they will, stand up for what they believe in, or they'll stand up for the lines and veils that you've established as a group and say, it was getting a little close, or you towed the line, or I think you might have crossed the line, but you didn't keep going. So I didn't put down my X card.
Next time, let's just.
But hey, could you go no farther than that?
Yeah.
Could you pull it back a little bit?
Yeah.
Right. And then the trust builds, and then you feel more like you can continue doing that. And then you don't have to self-censor. Then you could just move past trying to enjoy the game, and you could just go straight into enjoying the game.
No, and it's, and your enjoyment, like we talked about how it bumps up your RP bar. It bumps up the fun bar too.
Yes.
If you're like me and you enjoy RPing and RPing with other people. I mean, if you don't, maybe D&D is not the game for you. But maybe.
We've talked before about the 3 pillars of the game, right? And deciding how much of each pillar that there's going to be. So in this conversation, really, it's under the umbrella of the RP pillar. So if at your table you have 10, 20, 25% RP, maybe these questions aren't going to be as important for that character in this story. Right? But if it's the inverse of that, if it's 50, 60, 75% RP, then these are going to be really, really great decisions that you can spend a small amount of time or a long amount of time deciding to reap what you sow and to get the benefits of that over and over and over again.
Well, and the great thing is not just you reaping the benefits, it's everyone at the table, right? Players and DM, everyone, right? By doing this. But do you know what the benefit that I want to reap is though?
Wheat
and
wheat for sheep.
I would like to reap the benefits of you guys listening, liking, and subscribing to our content.
Yes,
that'd be great.
And I mean, and also let us know if you think that if exploring RP is worth it. If a character with depth, or perhaps a character who has too much depth, right?
It's the like and subscribe chill.
Yeah, I want it. I want the like.
Like me.
Well, it helps the algorithm, and we're new, so we want to get out there and be able to kind of increase the conversation, increase our table conversation size to more people. Because if there is the idea that there's too much emotional prep in your character, what's that look like? What's a character who's
too much?
You could be over prepared for things. Can you be over prepared for RP?
I don't know.
What would that look like?
It's just
main character
acting.
Syndrome.
Going.
Are you the Jared Leto of your table? Let us know.
I was in the Goblin character. I just can't get out now.
I just can't.
This is the way I talk. I can't get out.
Yeah. If only.
This is the way I talk to my wife.
She likes it. Okay, so we've talked about that. We've talked about kind of getting that. How can we grow that then? How can we get more out of it in taking that voice into the world?
What do you mean by that?
Well, you now know how to react to things, right? Can you then start making a plan of how to get other people to react to you? Like, can you start creating your own?
Yes. It's funny now that we've done all this stuff, right? Like, and your character is now not just a paladin, right? They've progressed there.
Oh my god, I love paladins. Oh, they're the best. They're the best, and for so many reasons.
They're great.
I mean, you pull paladin. I know you pull paladin out of the Magic 13, but as a tangent here that I have to kind of jump on.
Okay.
Paladins have now lost the kind of overly goody two shoes necessity that they had from older editions.
I would not necessarily agree with that, but keep going.
Yeah. Okay. Well, they're no longer. You can have a paladin of any alignment now.
Right.
That's huge and whatnot. And going back, I still love the idea of not the smiter of all evils and the just like the squeaky clean crusader idea, but the idea of older paladins was beyond law, right? That's why they were so difficult to handle in most people's hands, is because it wasn't just don't steal, right? It was
you cannot let anyone else steal around you.
Don't let anybody else do it, right? Because it brings society down. Your bar is higher than society's bar, and that's why they got that stigma attached to them of being like lawful's dumb.
So are you saying Are you saying that you like the new paladins in 5e? So you're saying? Or you're saying you love the old paladins?
No, I love the transition of paladins, and I love where they've taken it. I in my heart will forever be an old school paladin kind of guy.
Yeah.
My paladins will always be good. My paladins will even choose kind of our conquests or our kind of oathbreaker ones in the direction of being good. But what I'm saying now is that you can inform your character's decisions and bust past that little section of just what your oath means, right?
Right.
These are the 3 things that are super important to me, right? Okay, cool. I understand that those are important to you because now you're 3rd level and your character is like cementing those into their personality and into their core beliefs. Yeah. But how do we get to those core beliefs?
Yeah.
Right? And what is it behind
that
drives the engine?
I'm kind of the opposite. I like the 5e paladins more. Because whereas before they were like, oh, they behaved well, so now you've got god powers from some deity.
And that was the key, is that it was given to you by a deity.
Yeah,
where
but
now it's
they're so like they've embodied some concept so deeply that that they are the power. They've manifested the power of this one like primal concept. And that's where they get their power from. It's not divine, even though they call it divine, but it's not. It's vengeance. It's pure vengeance, right? Like John Wick, he's a paladin.
He could be a paladin, absolutely.
He's definitely a vengeance paladin.
He could be. He could be a fighter.
He's smiting people.
What would you do if you had a character with unlimited smites?
Headshot.
I'd John Wick the shit out of this campaign. You're right. And the aesthetic feels of the vengeance oath. Come into that.
Everything that they are is that whatever oath they are, right? Like
that's so interesting.
Like peace at all costs, right? Like you don't get to fight if I have to. It's I love it. Like there's no one so fanatic and obsessed than a 5e paladin.
That is absolutely a way to play them.
I mean,
I love it too.
Yeah,
I'm totally.
I love that to take.
I'll take a ticket for that train, right?
Yeah.
I don't think that everybody might see it that way.
No, they don't.
But I 100% agree that a paladin should be like that.
At least to some point, or else why would they have their powers if they're not given to them by something else? Right?
Yep.
So it's great. I mean, that means anyone can be a paladin.
And anyone can.
Yeah.
Anyone can. Anyone who believes hard enough, right?
Yeah. But like why? But like we're talking about here though, like why are you? What's makes you different than every other paladin?
Right.
Right. And this is what the grounding is like. But like you're more than just vengeance. If you're just vengeance, like if Batman was just vengeance, he wouldn't be interested, right? It's a certain kind of vengeance for a certain reason, and he has a certain way of exacting justice and vengeance, and he's got his own, right?
And importantly, he still has a rule.
Yeah.
For most of the iterations of him out there, right? We know that there's some where he breaks it, but for most of the iterations of Batman, right, he's got his rule that he won't cross.
Like he's not a vigilante; he's a person. And that's why he's so cool. That's why people love him.
Oh, no, he's definitely a vigilante.
No, he's not just a vigilante.
No, right. He's not just.
Right? And that's why he's so loved. Right? Because he's a person. He's relatable now. You can things that they do make sense and they're not a caricature. Right? And then I think once you are able to achieve that, I think you'll find that everyone at your table will appreciate it.
Mm-hmm. Even if, and this is an important part of being brave and kind of standing behind your RP.
Mhm.
If you're going into the deep end, let people know, right? Hey guys, I'm gonna be trying out something new and I'm experimenting with it, and I'm gonna try.
Bear with me here, clown paladin.
Smite with the water.
The Joker. He's the clown paladin.
They're all paladins.
They're all
paladins. No, but this is kind of a serious point, right?
Yeah.
Is you're saying like, hey, I'm going to be playing, in this case, I'm going to be playing a paladin.
Mm-hmm.
This paladin his heart and mind are consumed by, just using our previous reference, vengeance. He's going to be anti-hero-like. Right? I don't know if that's going to fit with this group. This is where I'm envisioning him right now. I've thought of ways to make sure that he wants to be an adventurer.
Yeah.
He wants to be part of the party. He wants to be there. He wants to explore the story.
Yeah. Or maybe not once, but he has a reason to.
He has a reason to. Yeah. And of course, I, the player, want him to be part of the party because I want to play the game. Yeah. Okay, so understand that the RP is going to have friction in it. And understand that I might be the character could be disagreeable at points. I am on your side. I want to go on the adventure. I want to take the hooks.
Well, I want to have fun with you guys.
Yes.
Using these disagreements, these friction points, right? I'm hoping that you guys can have fun with that too.
Right. And let's use, and I'm saying this to give you the meta knowledge, right? Going back to the meta knowledge again, giving you this so that you know where my heart and where my intention is at. I'm giving you the clear, concise communication as to what direction I want to go, but then know that it's going to be a bumpy road. Yeah. Right. Yeah. But ultimately know that I will cave. Right. He's going to resist. I don't want to go out. I don't like operating in the sunlight. Yeah. We have to go now, or else the bandits are going to get away. Fine. Right.
Yeah. Like I am actively looking for a reason as a player to make them go with you guys.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's great. I think in that way, you add, because we talked about the three pillars of
three pillars. Yeah.
Hopefully I get this right. Combat.
What?
RP.
What?
And then exploration. Right? And you, by doing this, you add sort of a subset of exploration. So you're not exploring the DM's campaign world anymore, right? Or the DM's story, right? Ooh. You are setting up your own exploration of your character. Your character then becomes this kind of its own mini character adventure with its own sort of hooks and paths and twists that the other players can then participate in. And it's another way of another element of exploration that you can do. And you can do that at any time. You can do that during downtime, shopping episodes, beach episodes, middle of a quest, in the middle of combat. Like at any time, anyone can engage with that character that you've built, right? In that little adventure. And you get to be that sort of DM of your own character that way, that other people get to experience. And I don't know, it's super cool. And it's I guess maybe a what do you call it, like an entry drug to actual DMing, because it's like a mini DM, right?
Interesting. Yeah,
I feel.
Yeah,
right.
If you
because you're giving bits to other players, and
if you approach it in like that way,
right?
Absolutely.
Like, hey, here's a little hook. If you want to play with it, you can. And you're creating these little interactions with other players and the DM too, because the DM doesn't typically get to.
Well, the DM
play in that way, like experience an adventure, and if you're doing that as a character in your character, then the DM gets to be like, oh, I don't know, that's interesting. I want to know what's going on here.
Well, the fun kind of delineation or the separation of the two is the DM gets your backstory.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And they get to interweave that into the system, and if they want to, right, or if you want them to, and they get to grow and pull story hooks and whatever they want out of that. But you are in control of your present.
Yep.
Right. So how you react, how you do these things, how you go on about it is entirely a story that you are narrating,
Yep.
right? While they're narrating, while everyone's narrating. But I don't know if it's advice or caution to like
Okay.
add to this.
Okay.
Because in my experience, I think that people will lean closer to playing their internal, not to the mic, playing closer to the idea of mystery and secrecy rather than playing with their hand tipped and like kind of open.
Right. Right.
And what I would consider or urge you to consider, like a DM who's planned a storyline out, generally kind of has a major arc idea going on, and they know kind of where you're going to be at level 5, where you're going to be at level 10, where you're going to be at level 15, level 20. Maybe break it down into those, because those are our tiers of adventuring, right?
Yeah.
Generally for difficulty. Well, why not do that with your internal story? Have an idea of kind of maybe you do want your character to be reactionary.
Yeah.
I want my character to be molded by the people around them. Because my character is,
it's
let's
my favorite
say,
trope.
I know it is. I know it. And you play it well. But the idea here is, okay, if that's the case, I want my party to help mold me because I'm a young squire, or I'm an outlander and I don't know the ways of the people here, or somebody just turned me on and I'm a warforged robot and I don't know. I just don't know. I have no history. Plan how many characteristics from the party you want to scoop up into your own persona by level 5.
Right.
By level 10.
Right.
Play it, or the opposite, have secrets that you're pushing out.
Yes.
Right? By level 5, by level 10. And I would urge, for interest, I would urge you to play them a little faster in pace than you want to.
Or play them all the time.
Well,
right? Like all the little things. Like
therein, I think you hit another boundary there, Icarus, of going too much, because then people might start perceiving you as main character syndrome.
No, I think it's what I mean by all the time is that there's certain, it's like a fisherman. You're always tossing your line out until something bites, right? Something bites when they notice it. Right? So that's something when you play all that. Like an example would be in that old TV show, sadly, Firefly, where the captain always cuts, R.I.P. Cuts their apples open with a knife first, and then they eat it, right? And it's not till later they find out it's because one time there was a grenade inside, and right, and
spoilers,
sorry guys.
It was in their backstory, but
right, and then
that's a beautiful,
and that's what I mean by maybe play it all the time. So then when it comes out, I remember like you had a character way back where you always ask like, what does it say? What does it say? Every time you came to like a sign, you're like, oh,
what are we looking for?
What are we looking for?
What does it look like?
Where do we have to go, right? It wasn't until at the end we found out that he couldn't read. Your character couldn't read.
Yeah,
and we're all like,
character's illiterate.
That's awesome, right?
That was super fun to play as an illiterate character.
And that's what I mean, like playing it all the time.
Yes. Okay, so the
feelers.
I get what you're saying.
Hooks.
Yeah. So that's a better way of putting it, I think. So have your character personality traits always out there. They are always themselves.
Yeah.
This is something that they always do. But maybe when you're releasing the information, kind of breadcrumbs from your history or whatnot, don't do it too fast. Don't do it too slow, right? Like there's a Goldilocks zone, but I think the Goldilocks zone for everybody else is a little bit faster than we normally think that we want to.
Right.
Because what we don't want to have is, well, nobody ever really got to know my character and we're fighting the big bad guy. Right. I wanted to get this character to get involved with things, but I never saw the chance. Well, call for the chance. Make the chance happen and try and do it earlier, because you can always have more story.
I mean, you know what? You can always talk about it, frankly, after a session. Like, this is what I'm trying to do with my character. Just letting you guys know, what's up. If you guys can just maybe like go there with my character every now and then, that'd be great. Right?
Absolutely, yeah.
If you aren't able to do it on your own, just over-communicate. Yeah, over-communicate.
Yeah, and give that meta knowledge out, right? Yes, I want to do this. I want my character to find that.
Like maybe it's not as fun as things happening organically, but at least you're getting some fun as opposed to just, oh,
I don't know.
Yeah.
Just because you know it's a mystery theme doesn't mean that you enjoy solving it less. Right? Like,
yeah,
right?
exactly.
I am looking for this character to explore whatever this is more.
Mhm.
I'm just going to let you guys know that I'm going to start calling for more scenes where I'm going to be exploring that.
Yeah.
Is that all right with you?
Yeah.
And if they say no, well, then you're like, okay, well, that kind of sucks because that's what I really thought that we were doing. Right. And then we can go, do we have to have like a mini session 0 again? Just to
Right.
like realign the party and what we're looking at to make
Right.
sure that everything's good. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And I think the wonderful thing is,
A wonderful thing.
one thing with tickers, is that once you get the whole table going and doing this, something wonderful develops. Right? Like,
Oh.
yeah. So it's not just like things become so textured and sort of alive, right? Once everyone does it, because it's typically just the DMs putting things out there and making things happen, right? And it's the PCs reacting. But when the PCs are also throwing things out there and DMs are reacting to PCs and PCs are reacting to PCs, it's just this great mishmash of I don't know, it's just fun. It's just this energy I find sort of develops at the table.
Well, when anyone ever asks me what is D&D,
Mhm.
the first thing that I generally say or talk about is that it's a collaborative narrative experience, right? It's like reading the best book you've ever read, but also having input on what's being said or what happens next in the story.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's or watching your favorite TV show, but also being there. Right. And talking to this person and saying that and whispering these secrets. Guess what? I saw this person.
Yeah.
Right? Like
Yeah.
it's better than the best of any kind of interaction that you can watch and enjoy, because you can also be a part of it and have your hands on the reins.
Yeah.
Right. And you can choose to white knuckle that, or you can choose to just have a finger on it.
Yeah.
Right. But you then get to choose how much you're wanting to participate and how much you want to go. And this arc of the story, you really want to be like overwhelming and you kind of want to take charge. And that arc of the story, you want to see what you've got.
Yeah.
I want to see what you're going to bring forth, right?
Yeah.
And the DM is just spotlighting and narrating the party wherever it is that they go.
Oh, and the DM can be like, I don't have to do anything. And this is awesome.
They're
just going at it. Like,
there are times
awesome.
when
they just enjoy it, right?
Yeah, just to sit back and then finally you get to enjoy the performance instead of being the performer.
Right.
In a way, right? You're all performing, you're all working, everyone is playing the game, but it's nice to go like, I didn't have to prep for this.
Well, you don't have to be the stage manager and lighting expert and doing all the props. You just like, oh, they're doing it.
They're doing something. They're doing something interesting right now. Like they're digging into each other, right? For the benefit of themselves. They're doing something cool.
Well, and things happen and I can just enjoy it. Right?
No, it's wonderful. It is wonderful when that happens.
Yeah.
It absolutely is a wonderful treat. Yeah. And from that, I think what you're talking about is when you start taking those individual voices, right, and you start putting them together, you're not just unique voices now. You're like a choir. You've adapted your own sound, right, and you've created your one band, one sound,
one direction
of just going forth. And now this is really not. It's not just another game. Right. This is the game that you're going to remember and look back on fondly for like your D&D highlight reel.
Yeah.
Right. Because everybody's getting involved. Everybody's caring. And you can even watch, like we said, if there's some veterans at the table, you can kind of bushwhack and lead the party forward, showing them good habits to adopt.
Yeah.
And as they go on, maybe the younger people start thinking about it more, start analyzing themselves more, start growing their character.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, have your character develop, right?
Yeah.
Have your character take a left turn. Why did they take a left turn? Well, because this happened. And this little thing.
And the cool thing is they go in directions that maybe you didn't even ever plan.
That you as the player, couldn't foresee.
Even, like sometimes the party goes in directions that the DM doesn't plan. Right? You're like, where's my campaign going? I don't know. I guess we're going here. Right? Sometimes your character's like, where's it going? He went into this really cool direction that I never foresaw. because of what happened with the other PCs.
In the last game that I was playing as, my elven wizard saw himself at level 8. I remember quite clearly. There was an interaction where we had, for the second time, interacted with a black dragon, number 2. He was a bit of a reoccurring villain. He was too strong for us to outright defeat in a way before when we met him, and now we'd met again. He had joined up with some other individuals, yada yada yada. But the kind of crux of it was I had been looking for a catalyzing moment for my character to make an abrupt change in his personality. He was dominant and he was controlling, and he wanted to be a benign tyrant. He wanted to rule the world so that no tyrant could rule the world. Right? Is that kind of?
Yeah, I love it.
And in speaking with and interacting with this dragon, also as a big flashing do sign, keep your character's RP alive in combat.
Oh yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Talk in combat. Like, one of the things that you should talk about in session 0 is how much can we talk during our turn. Right? Can we say stuff? Can we continue talking? Can we continue blah blah blah? As long as it's not like tactical. Can you keep bouncing stuff off? Can I insult the guy that I'm fighting? Can I?
No, it's the best. The best thing about like the Battle of Helm's Deep is stupid Legolas and
Gimli.
And Gimli, like just
that only counts as one, right? And you're just like, oh, you're a sore loser,
right? And then it also keeps combat interesting because combat can be kind of dry.
It can be, or it can just be a continuation if you go into it with the mindset of, I want more RP during this moment. We're going to be here in this combat for half an hour. If you can do it in half an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever it is, whatever it turns out to be, we should still be able to RP with this. We're not going to put a third of the game's pillars on hold because we're rolling dice. Right. So going back to the example, my character saw the dragon's perspective mirrored his perspective. And he saw like that creature is older than me, supposed to be wiser than me, but it's bitter and it's dark and it's lost its benign sensibilities and it's lost its wanting to be philanthropic. It's turned dark, and I can't do that. Right. And that was the point where he went, oh, this is what I'm going to end up like. I don't want that. Right. And so I knew I wanted my character in my arc to have a personality change. And it was in that interaction that I was able to hit that story beat as a player. As a player deciding that was the story beat that allowed me to see the dark reflection and change.
Well, and the other players probably got to experience that. And notice that and got to enjoy that trip. Right? That was your character.
Yes. Yeah. So no, it was great for me. I hope it was great for them. It was an awesome character, an awesome story. But it allowed him to participate more and then be more a part of the group, not be like the leader of the group, right? Just because he says he is, or just because of whatever.
Well, I'm sure they liked it. You got a second campaign out of them.
Squeezed all the juice out of the fruit. But yeah, no, I think this is really kind of where you want to go, is looking for the narration of the world to help inform you of what's going to happen next, and then using all of your previous decisions to help you move forward. Right. And that's with the group, that's with the DM, that's with the goblin encounter that you have at level 1 that most people have, right? Tell them about your backstory. Right. I remember when your kind stole my cow Betsy, right? And then everyone else in the group was like, you were really attached to that cow. Like, that was my favorite cow. We used to play catch.
Betsy.
You used to play catch with a cow?
Did my homework.
It's a smart cow. And
stupid homework.
Or easy homework. But, it then starts to go, oh, well, how did this knight in shining armor, he's talking about being from a farm then probably? Or so he might have come from nothing. So when he says that he's he always paladin. Eats fast.
Oath of the farmer.
Oath of the homegrown. When he says that he eats fast, okay, maybe that's because they didn't have a lot of food. And so every scrap of food he could eat, he ate. And he ended up growing up big and strong somehow, right? Just by or maybe he's short, but
eating the fastest.
Whatever. Eating the fastest. Always meant that you got to go for seconds first. Whatever it is. Use those fun ideas and fun tropes to just bring life into really breathe life into the game.
And don't worry about being ridiculous either. Like people do the weirdest things for the stupidest reasons in real life.
Oh yes,
and it wouldn't be. I don't think it'd be any different in D&D life either.
yeah. Shout out to you, Florida man.
I love Florida man.
Florida man's amazing, but that's the idea of somebody out there saw this as a reasonable course of action.
Yeah.
Right. This was their best decision in that moment.
Yeah.
And look where it got them.
Now they're an adventurer.
Now they're an adventurer.
Well,
Nobody wants to be an adventurer, but no, I think
Florida man robs a Walmart with a crocodile. Now he's at a level 1 paladin.
Wielding a crocodile. I mean, hey.
Yeah, oath of the Walmart.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Okay. And so, yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Why not?
Well, I mean, if it's acceptable according to your session 0 stuff, go for it. There is, right? Why not? And there is no answer, then just do it.
Yeah.
Just do it.
Yes.
It's better to do it and then have to pull it back later.
Well,
than to not, I think.
At least, yeah. I think it's best to communicate that at first.
Yeah.
Right? Like, this is what I want to go. And if you get nods around the table, and you're like, wow, I can't believe you guys agreed to that. Well, here we go. Right? And then in play, it's too much, right?
Yeah.
You're like, was that too much, guy? Yeah. Yeah, where you hit the guy with the crocodile biting onto the other guy, but he was grappled, so you ended up hitting them with a person and it's getting too confusing. Okay. Yes, I agree. It's getting
Initiative was a nightmare.
You don't even know. Yeah, no, 100%. It's time to pull it back in like a collaborative, friendly way.
Yeah.
Right. And understand that, that thing that you were trying to do that was a little crazy was a little too crazy.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Or maybe it was too comical, or it was too serious, or it was too romantic.
Yeah.
Or it was too whatever for the
Too
theme
romantic,
or for the table.
right.
Too romantic.
Right.
And that can be like carnal romance as well as like
he was a zombie. Too romantic, guy. Too romantic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You made other people feel uncomfortable.
Like, that's illegal. Half illegal? Are they still a corpse?
They're not dead, but they are.
It's unillegal then.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we'll leave that for you to decide at your table what the laws around necromantic entities are.
Oh, you know what that sound means?
That's the first time I've heard that sound.
I think it means we're done.
Is it?
Yeah.
That was fast.
Thank God.
Well, yeah.
Because I am tired of being here.
Yeah. Well, I'm still kind of fresh, but no, if it's time to go, it's time to go.
Yeah.
I guess we hit all the points.
Yeah. Awesome. I guess before we go though, one more time, please like and or subscribe. Share, all that good stuff.
And I think as a kind of a question to leave you with, and maybe you can add this into the comments, is what are the questions that you like to ask yourself when developing your character?
Why am I even here?
Right? Like what, for example, one of my favorite questions to ask myself is, how does this character want to die?
Oh, wow.
Right? How does this character see their end? What's the best version of their end? And what that is and how that ties into their core concepts.
Sorry, my question is why does this character matter? To anyone.
Wow.
Yeah. It's the question I ask when I make characters.
Interesting. Yeah. But yeah, so there's examples of ours.
If you have any question, like any cool question that you ask yourself or whatever, please let us know in the comments. Also, if we have gone too far in any of our jokes or any of our talks, let us know. Just like there's like a mini session 0, I guess, at the end.
Yeah.
If we're out to lunch with any of our ideas, if we missed anything, let us know. Go in the comments. We'd love to hear your thoughts on anything we've talked about today.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. So I guess I'm Sean number 34.
I am Byron number 33.
Yeah.
And thanks for being here with us at Caffeine and Cantrips.
See you next time.
Bye.
I don't even know why I'm here.
Cool.
I don't even play D&D.
What? Really? What? You're gonna say that and go?